have specifically included that board is responsible to assess and monitor performance of CEO and senior management periodically, but at least once in a year, and hold them accountable for accomplishing objectives and goals. Formulation of significant policy is obviously the board's area, and I think it's similar to this SOE, this listed company code. And one specific area where there is a confusion in the public sector is that a lot of times, there is lack of distinction between the corporate social responsibility or the obligations they have to incur, or the work that they do on the directives of the government. So we are saying that there should be a policy on corporate social responsibility initiatives, including donations, charities, contributions, and other payments. And where decisions are taken in fulfilling social objectives of the government, but which are not in the commercial interest of the entity, appropriate subsidy must be extended by the government, and also there should be a separate disclosure of such expenses or such items so that the entity's performance can be properly evaluated. That these are the obligations and expenses that you have incurred because of the government directives, and the rest of the performance without that is this. It is unfortunate that very large number of SOEs, public sector entities, do not even prepare their annual accounts. They prepare their annual account, they do not publish them. It is not made public. These are, because they are public interest entities and taxpayers' money is involved, you're saying that annual report, including annual financial statements, we place on the website. Quarterly accounts should be prepared and approved by the board, and monthly accounts, whether audited or otherwise, should be circulated to the board members to enhance the transparency of public sector. Orientation courses, again, similar requirements, just as we have requirements for orientation and training for directors in the listed companies code. There is one difference, that here this code requires that there should be at least one orientation course in a year for the directors, which the companies are required to arrange. In addition to that, the certification is not mandatory. Certification through PICG, the corporate governance, the certified director courses, etc., they are encouraged but not mandatory. Like Code of Corporate Governance, the code requires formation of board committees, including audit committee, risk management committee for financial sector, HR committee, and procurement committee. Procurement committee is specifically required because of the importance of procurement in the public sector. All such committees are to be chaired by non-executive directors, and majority of their members should be independent. Written terms of reference that define their duties and authority and composition, carry out their performance evaluation, just as board is required to evaluate its performance. All committees are required to carry out their evaluation and report the results to the board. Again, chairman of the board has been given the responsibility to take the leadership role in ensuring that all committees, board committees, are carrying out their performance evaluation. I think the requirements for relating to appointment of company secretary, CFO, head of internal audit are largely similar to the Code of Corporate Governance, so I will not go into details. We have some more details on the director's remuneration, because this is very important. That this is also a matter of lot of controversy. So, a formal and transparent procedure for fixing the remuneration packages of individual directors. No director shall be involved in deciding his own remuneration. In other words, remuneration is required to be fixed in the shareholders meeting. Require prior approval of the shareholders, and the remuneration should be sufficient to attract and retain directors needed to run the company successfully. Shall not be at a level perceived to compromise their independence, and also annual report shall contain criteria and details of remuneration of each director, including salary, benefits and performance-linked incentives. There are elaborate requirements on director's report, audit committee, internal audit, external audit, compliance statement to be certified by external auditors, very similar to the Code of Corporate Governance, and I will not go into details of that. So finally, I have covered the salient features of the code. Now, what is the way forward for the reforms? Government needs to rethink and decide its policy on this sector. Decide on whether it is the business of the government to run the business. Obviously, the question is this, and we all agree that it is not. Most of the businesses should be run by the private sector. So most organizations should be privatized. But there would still be significant entities like ports, like maybe some sectors like oil, gas, monopolies or power sector where significant public interest continues over a long-term period. So that is why we think that it is very critical that there should be proper governance and codes and systems for governance of the public sector entities. So while most entities may be privatized in the long run, it may be impractical to privatize all PSCs, as many PSCs may have strategic value and public interest to be retained in public sector. Ownership of PSCs containing the reasons for owning or controlling companies critical to Pakistan's security and economic well-being, this policy should be there. Dr. Shamshad talked about Temasek model and the centralized and decentralized model. Ideally, yes, I agree that Temasek model and the centralized model is the best. But whether it is practical or not, I have my doubts. In a country where we have very large cabinet sizes and cabinets with 70, 80 ministers, you can't deprive them of their business immediately. So ideally, we should have something like Temasek holding company, perhaps one holding company for financial sector, one for maybe energy and other sectors, or just one or two or three holding companies, which it will make life much simpler, governance much better. But we have to create demand for this from the public, from the professionals, that ultimately that is the answer. But till that happens, even in the decentralized model, I think we can still, there can be mechanisms if there is a will to enhance the governance, through laying down some proper framework for governance of the SOEs. And one of these steps is this Code of Corporate Governance that we are proposing. But at least there should be, at a minimum, there should be this statement that these entities will be, all the commercial entities in public sector will be managed, will manage these investments on sound commercial basis, separated from the government's function of policy making, market regulation, or social obligations. You're not into the business, when you're running the commercial entities, then your social obligations have to be separate, your regulatory functions have to be separate. I think we have some of very good organizations in this country also, but then organizations like State Bank, for instance, Dr. Shamshad's previous organization, one of the very good regulatory organization, but then I think there are some contradictions there, that it is also the owner of major banks and financial institutions, having majority shares in National Bank and also regulate